All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here balling and brawling back to break down the lightweight division here in the UFC. A pretty loaded division, and a division that's been ruled by the one, the only Islam Makhachev, a guy that should actually be referred to as maybe the one and only, not fucking Alex Pereira, a fraud light heavyweight champ kickboxer who just gets exposed whenever he finally fights someone that's decent at MMA. But
Shama, sure.
to open up, there's no disrespect to Alex. Also, I'm a big fan. We knew Ankalaev would beat him. Everybody knew Ankalaev would beat him for a long time. The UFC knew that. That's why he was fighting Khalil Roundtree and whoever else could stand and strike and wouldn't mix in any type of MMA with him for his run. Hebs, how are we doing?
Good, brother. So, obviously, this lightweight thing, man, it's been crazy. I feel like ever since Ilya moved up, we spoke about this when it happened. Dana White put his bald-ass head on Instagram Live because when you're a multi-billion-dollar company and you have massive breaking news, you got your Dana White just jumping on Instagram Live to deliver it for some reason. When that happened about a month ago, and it was bang, huge news, a bunch of big fights. He says that Volkanovski is fighting Lopez for the vacant UFC title because Ilia Topuria is moving up. Bro, if the first thing when I see all these, it's whatever. JDM is now fighting because Shavkat's out. So it's JDM Bilal. He announced this whole Miami card, all these big fights. He announced Brady versus Leon, all these huge fights. The only thing I took from it was Ilya Islam. I was like, oh my gosh, we're getting Ilya Islam, even though he didn't directly say that. And he even kind of said he made it seem like that wasn't next, but I was still like, yeah, obviously that would be next. It seemed too good to be true, but before Ilya officially moved up, we were like, okay, does he have to actually fight Volk? No one really cares about that fight. We don't need to see it again. But again, I thought him moving up, it was no discussion. He's fighting for a belt next. I thought that's what everyone wanted, but it seems like Ilya has a lot of haters, and the UFC might be part of that, and that fight might not be happening. So who do we have? We have Islam as the champ. We have Ilya, at least maybe the second best fighter in the UFC, moving up. Who should be challenging him? And then you have Arman Sarukian, the clear number one guy, the guy who was fighting for the belt, who, again, I understand he ruined the card. He got hurt or he was sick the day before.
He's got no shot.
What?
He's got no shot at getting a title shot.
But I'm saying we're in this very weird position because he was the very clear number one guy, a very deserving contender. And then Dana's like, all right, you get back to the end of the line. And he made that very clear, from the night of that card, which, again, whatever. Charles Oliveira, he beat Michael Chandler. Is that deserving of a number one, or is that deserving of a title fight, especially when Islam already dog walked you? I don't think so. And then, we all love Justin Gaethje. So that's one of those weird where, as a fan of Justin Gaethje, I would be fine with that happening. But as a fan of the sport, holy smokes, that fight should not happen. Justin, the best two matchmakers on YouTube, let's put our big boy journalism caps on. Can you matchmake the top of this division? Because it seems like we could take it a bunch of different ways. I want to hear what you think should happen, but then probably more importantly, what you think is going to happen. Because it seems that the Ilya Islam fight gets further every day. Every time you hear someone talk about it, it seems like that's not actually going to happen. What do you think should happen with these top guys at lightweight? But also, what do you think is actually going to happen?
Yeah, so let's just start at the top. Obviously, you got Islam, who's obviously pound for pound, arguably the best guy in the world right now, dominating. So he has the right to kind of call the shots here. Obviously, Arman pulled out of their fight, which was scheduled. He then takes Moicano on a day's notice. Obviously, does work with the former featherweight. But yeah, what I think is going to happen in the division, I think Islam's camp is obviously trying to push the narrative that Ilya needs to fight somebody first. Why? Because not that I don't think Islam can win the fight, but I do think Ilya is the most, it's the most at-risk fight for Islam in this division. I think Islam, he's not dumb. He knows that. There's a very real chance Ilya can go in there and spark Islam out. That's the facts. So what I think at Islam's camp, I think they're looking at this Bilal Muhammad JDM fight, kind of seeing, okay, if JDM wins the title, I think it's a no-brainer. Islam will be fighting JDM for the welterweight title, and Ilya will be fighting Charles Oliveira for the interim lightweight title. That's a guarantee, I think, if JDM wins against Bilal. But I'll just go ahead and say it right now. I do not think JDM is going to beat Bilal. So I think we're going to see a huge fight, a fight that should happen, a fight that will be the biggest fight of the year, arguably, in Islam versus Ilya. I think that's the fight that the UFC does in ways want to make, but I think Islam's camp actually really doesn't want that fight. Not that I'm not saying Islam's can't win the fight. He's going to be favored. He should win that fight, truthfully. I will not be picking against my boy Ilya, but I think his camp is trying to push that fight off, obviously with the hopes of double champ status. Because if he gets JDM, I think it's a very winnable fight for Islam as well. And then you move down to Arman, who's in a tough spot because he loses his, title shot, whatever, pulls out on a day's notice. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's anybody in this division that's beating Arman Tsarukyan other than Islam Makhachev.
Yeah.
He ran through Dubronx. He's knocked out Dariush. Like, all these guys he beats, and the UFC kind of knows that. That's why I don't think the UFC would ever consider making Tsarukyan versus Topuria, because truthfully, I think Tsarukyan could beat Topuria, and why waste that juice? So I think we're going to end up seeing Arman Tsarukyan take on Justin Gaethje in a number one contender fight. I think, again, JG's always got a puncher's chance against these guys, but Arman probably gets that one done, I would assume. But that's where I see the UFC going with it. And then I see, obviously, Dustin's retirement fight. They're saying in Louisiana, whatever. I think it's a no-brainer. The BMF title's on the line. Yeah. You got Poirier versus Max.
Easily.
And as far as Charles goes, I think Charles is, again, he's a guy that's I would say a superstar in the sport.
Yeah, for
sure.
So
he's a guy that can wait a little bit, and I think he's willing to wait because, again, I think the UFC is telling these guys this, because you would see these guys kind of. And Ilya spoke to the media, I think yesterday, the day before, and said that the UFC promised he wouldn't vacate his belt if he wasn't guaranteed a title shot. So whether it's interim, he said the UFC guaranteed him a title shot. That's why he vacated. So.
He said that when?
Yeah, he said it to the Spain. He has like this Spain fighting promotion. And
when he changed his nickname, when he did
yesterday that he was speaking to the media yesterday, or the day before. I think it was yesterday.
Really?
And he said
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he said the UFC promised him a title shot. So it's either going to be Topuria versus Charles for the interim belt if Islam goes up to 170 to fight for the belt, or it will be Ilya versus Islam, and then I think Charles will kind of just wait a second, because to be honest with you, I don't think Charles wants to fight Arman after what Arman did to him in their fight. So that's how I see it playing out at the top of the division. You also have Hooker, who is somewhat in play here, but with him pulling out of the Gaethje fight, I don't see Gaethje wanting to fight Hooker, like, who's down in the rankings. So maybe you could go Oliveira Hooker, but I don't think Oliveira is going to want to do that. But the one wild card we have here is when Mr. Pimblett comes down to Miami in 2 weeks. If he puts out Michael Chandler here in round 1 or 2, we're gonna
out.
I'm just saying, we already know what the UFC is gonna do there. He immediately will jump into the top 6 range and
Easily,
be in contention. Yeah. I think if he wins, you see him maybe fight Hooker is a great fight there. Or they might send him to number 1 contender status and fight Dubronx versus Patty. I mean, who knows, bro?
I want to talk about that fight because I actually had a dream the other night about, and I think Michael Chandler came and told me what was going to happen in 2 weeks down in Miami. But you're right, because Chandler is still somehow ranked. I mean, every time you look at the rankings, they get a little bit more bizarre. Dude, I am maybe the biggest Alexander Ratchik fan in the world because he's not like the most popular guy, and he's one of my favorite fighters. The guy's ranked 5th or 6th in light heavyweight. He has not won a fight since literally the first Trump administration. Like, I always say that as a joke. I don't think he's won a fight since 2019, maybe 2020. But like, dude, the guy just stays in the same exact spot. Dude, Chandler is 2-4 in the UFC. He's ranked number 7. And he fought once. When was Chandler? Chandler's last win was Tony Ferguson. That was 3 years ago. Holy smokes,
joke, bro.
All right, so, dude, I think, as you said. Now, I didn't hear that Ilya said that, because from the jump, it seemed from that Dana Presser, from his Instagram Live, he was like, remember that? He seemed very weird. He's like, made it very clear this is Ilya's decision. Ilya thinks he's done enough. Ilya's going to vacate his belt. He wants to move up to lightweight. It wasn't like this joint thing, or he made it very clear he's not making weight anymore. He wants to move up. So usually in a situation like that, especially if they had plans to, do the Islam fight right away, I feel like he would have at least hinted at it maybe. Or maybe he's being a little bit of a showman. I don't know. But Islam, as you said, doesn't seem to really want that fight. And I think that's 100% okay. But that's the only reason why that fight shouldn't happen. Islam gave Volk 2 shots. He should really, if it wasn't Bilal, and he's not even, you never hear it from Islam's camp. It's only Bilal. He's like, dude, he's my freaking, we're brothers.
Bilal,
like, you don't really
matchup for Islam, honestly. So
yeah, that would be like the sickest fight you could make in the UFC right now. Imagine imagine the clinch of Islam and what?
We have fucking Tom Aspinall versus John Jones. Come on, brother.
That's like fucking dude. That's never
Don't
happened.
say it's like McGregor Chandler. It's not that bad. All right, it's not that bad.
I was gonna say that's like the likelihood of getting you to get on here with me. It's very rare. Everyone give Justin a round of applause. He freaking the mic is working today. It's got a hot mic though. You said the F word twice, so I don't.
Hey, and one thing to add on what you're saying also is you gotta look at it from this standpoint too. Ilya obviously was champion, regardless of what we think Ilya from a financial standpoint. He's not just gonna vacate his title and lose pay-per-view points. Like I feel like give up that money. You know what I mean? Whereas
yeah,
I think it's a absolute done deal that when he fights next, it's for a belt, whether it's against Charles for the interim or whether it's Islam. I think he's for sure fighting for a belt because that's the only way you know what I mean. The UFC would probably pay him what he wants to be paid to fight.
So you're saying you kind of said this earlier that like you don't think there'll be an announcement with these guys till after JDM versus Bilal because they want to see what happens there. I mean, dude, that fight's in the middle of May? That fight's in May. Like, I don't know. I feel like we need something. Actually, no. Islam can definitely wait, but like, dude, Ilya hasn't fought in no, I'm thinking of Volk. Ilya fought in October. Charles fought in November. And then what? Arman was supposed to fight in January and pulled out. I think, dude, if it's not going to be Ilya versus Islam, which it definitely should be, I don't know, we got off track, but I was going to say that Islam should be fighting up just because you grapple with a guy once or twice. Me and you used to grapple in the backyard all the time. And we're like, I mean, for the right price, we would do the man dance for sure. Like, I don't understand these guys. Like, unless you're like Aljo Marab, your training partners and best friends, we really like how many guys Bilal's like, yeah, I'm not fighting him. Like, I don't know, grow up, dude. You guys, we don't want to make some money, but I think that fight would be sick. I really want Islam to move up before he's done, and I don't know how much longer that will be. So I really would like to see that. So I understand if he doesn't want to fight Ilya. They should definitely fight. But if it's not going to be that, it's Charles versus Ilya Topuria. There's no other fight. Charles was very clear that he's not doing that. He just wants a title fight. Like, you don't get a title fight off beating Michael Chandler. You couldn't even finish Michael Chandler. Actually, that fight ended with you getting your face bashed in. I know honestly, that was the best version of Oliveira I've seen in a while. He was way more patient. He was more calculated. The striking, he looked fast, dude. I know he has in the past.
Fight an old washed-up bum. I mean,
yeah. I mean, Chandler. It's like Chandler was holding out.
See how washed Chandler is when Patty the Batty finishes him here in 2 weeks,
dude. All right, well, we're going to have to talk more about that in a second because I don't agree. Actually, I really agreed with you.
I hope not. I think Patty sucks, but I think he's going to have a big advantage in the height, size. I know you think Chandler's big, but I'm telling you, bro, Pimblett is fucking huge for the division.
You think Patty is going to be able to take down that behemoth, Michael Chandler?
No, but I think if he stuns him on the feet and he's rocked and he gives him his back, it's over.
Bro, Jared Gordon was lighting him up like a Christmas tree.
I agree.
That was a while ago, actually.
I agree.
He's gotten a lot better.
I don't think Patty's good. I don't think Chandler's good. He's 37.
And that's a 5-rounder, though, dude.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah, it is. It is. It's a 5-rounder.
Oh, they moved it to the co-main?
It's the co-main. It's a 5-rounder, dude.
No, well, it wasn't until oh wait, no, it was.
It was. Yeah.
But
I'm pretty. It's 5 rounds. I'm pretty sure. I love that they do that now. That kind of changed out of nowhere. But okay. Well, regardless, if Chandler wins, he's getting a title shot. So none of this really matters. But I want to see. So I could see Islam doing 2 things. And honestly, I think Islam versus Gaethje is really in play because, like, if they're not going to do him versus Ilya, obviously it shouldn't happen.
They can't sell that, bro, anymore. The Gaethje versus the fucking, we can't do this anymore.
Dude, I think it would be nuts. But
no one wants to see Islam roll in here at minus 700 against Gaethje and get a takedown in a sub inside of 3 minutes.
But maybe he'll stand and bang a little bit, dude. Imagine Gaethje knocks out Islam and becomes champ.
He's got to punch.
Don't roll your eyes, bro. We could get him on the pod. He's a friend.
He's got to punch his chance.
I don't know. But then I don't know what that does with Arman because Dustin's name gets thrown in with all these guys. He's fighting Max in the summer for his retirement fight. But yeah, those are 5 names that we mentioned, and obviously that would only, there's going to be an odd man out of this. Maybe Islam waits a little bit, like we said. But Dana did say recently, you can always tell by the way he answers questions, like, because the way he's been saying with like John Tom, he's kind of like, yeah, I think it's going to happen, or like, no, it will. But like, he doesn't give a definitive answer. The other day at a press conference, someone asked about Ilya, and he was like, he's like, oh yeah, we're announcing that soon. We got something planned.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Hopefully it's Ilya Islam International Fight Week headliner.
Do you think, though? Do you think that's what's going to happen? Not what we want to happen. Is that what's going to happen?
Dude, International Fight Week is headlined by either that, John Aspinall, which I don't think, because I think John's going to want more time, like, to prepare. But I think how
long does it take to get clean? Get the one steroid cycle?
Or
the super soldier shows
DDP versus Hamzat now that we have Mr. Trump in office. Biden wasn't allowing Mr. Hamzat over, but
Big Daddy Trump, anything's possible. That's what they say.
DJT will be able to make that happen.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't even know. Am I missing a name there? So Chandler,
Hooker is someone,
dude. But that's the thing. Like, if Hooker is fighting up. There's no way if you're any of those guys, you're going to give him a chance. Hooker will probably fight. I don't know, the winner of Patty Chandler. If Patty wins, he's getting a huge fight.
I know,
dude. If Patty wins, maybe he'll fight Arman.
Yeah,
but that's what I want to see. I want to see Ilya versus Islam. I want to see Arman versus Charles. I don't see why you won't do that fight. If Arman needs another fight, I know they already fought. It was very close. Arman, it's the day, that's Sunday, January 19th, the day after he was supposed to fight. He called out Charles, like a guy he already beat. So, like, I don't know. I want to see that fight again. I think that's what they should do. And then Gaethje, I mean, nothing but love and respect to the guy, but like, I don't really know where he fits into this picture. Like, obviously, he just did the UFC a favor. He deserves a big fight, but like, get ready to learn Gamrot, pal. I don't really know who else.
Bro, he fought a featherweight. Dude, I'm glad Fiziev's moving to featherweight because that's where he should.
Is he?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Oh wow. Ooh, Money Moicano, Justin Gaethje. I might be a genius. We have Ilya versus Islam come summertime. Do Bronx versus Saruki in 2. Also in the summer, that'll be on the same card. And then you have Gaethje versus Moicano happening in my basement in like 2 weeks, maybe. Tune in. That's what we got. We just match made the lightweight division. Michael Chandler will be back in the mix because I just had a dream. If you've read any Carl Jung, you should be interpreting your dreams, not just throwing them out. So if you want to make some coin, Michael Chandler came to me in a dream. He said he was going to knock out Paddy Pimblett. He also said that he will be fighting Conor McGregor. So maybe we shouldn't trust the guy. But that's a wrap. Those are the lightweight rankings. Those are the lightweight matchmakings. That's what should happen before the end of the year. There you go.